Michelle Singh is a national board certified teacher, best-selling author, and a global educator who's transforming how we see diversity, engagement in schools and organizations. As the founder of Restful Teacher and LCTE Learning Solutions, she blends over 20 years of experience with her own rich cultural journey from Jamaica to the US to champion equity, empathy, and excellence. Through her equal methodology, Michelle has empowered over 40,000 educators worldwide, ensuring every student is seen, heard, and valued. Learn more at workingwithmichellesingh.com. Hello, and welcome so much to Cold Press Conversations. I am here with amazing friend. She's part of the D9, y'all. I'm excited. I have Miss Michelle Singh here. It's Michelle Singh, and that's who we have, where we're going to connect with Michelle, especially on this episode. And she is the educator of all educators. Michelle and I kind of go back. We've known each other for over 2.5 years, almost going on 3, coming up this fall. And we met at Dr. EJT's event. I no pub on any of it. It's just stating that that's where we met, and we have become accountability partners. Sometimes we just take a break and we encourage each other. And Michelle did that. We just finished having a wonderful conversation talking about how she did that last year and how I'm kind of doing that right now. But it allows us to realize who we are as educators. And when we're educating others, and trust me, I am really deep into the education field because I do work for a university, and Michelle does too. Sometimes we got to kind of take that step back and see where we are as educators so that we can still continue to pour into others. Michelle, I'm just so happy that you joined me today.
I'm excited. I'm happy to finally be here. Yay.
Yeah, if I had a little button, we'd go. Seriously. You know, Michelle, you have helped me in the process with reaching the audience of the educator. And you do this daily from multiple facets. So we can choose which one. But before we go further, I really would like to talk about emotional wellness because that's something you and I discuss all the time. And sometimes we have to bring other people into our world to understand why you and I really treasure it. It's our team, actually. We have like a little team, y'all.
Yeah, a little accountability check.
Yeah, we do. We check on each other all the time.
We do. And the beauty of it is, we're all in business. We're building businesses. We're building joyful businesses, but we always have to do checks on each other, and we have to do checks on ourselves as human beings to ensure that we are sustaining so that we can continue to be in the work that we're in. So it's not always going to be about like business talk. It's like human talk, right?
Yes, it is. You know, and that's what I like about it. And all of our personalities are different. There are about 5 of us that are together, and we all have something that's different that we bring to the table to each other. And we all are educating people in some shape or form, whether it is through the government, like a government-like area, private business, university. We are taking every single facet or every different form of industry where we're meeting the needs of our community by educating them. One thing that I do like, and everyone, I participated in her Restful journey. I liked that. And a lot of people, I really want people to kind of come into that because I believe in resetting and being restful as well.
Yeah.
But you've been at this for some time. Help them understand about the Restful journey.
Yeah. So I'll tell you how it even started. So I worked in the public school system for 15 years, and I left the public school system and I went into a different role to be a different kind of teacher. And that's where I found my way to entrepreneurship in that process. And as as someone who's in that institution for so long, you learn to follow the norm and the cultures and the expectations of said institutions, and you don't put yourself first because that's just how that is just how sometimes it ends up being when we're in those mindsets and when we're in those environments, right? And so I never put myself first. I put everyone else, did everything for everyone else, family, students, colleagues. And when I got out, I'm gonna say when I got out, that's when I started to learn about actual self care and self compassion and self love. And I invested in myself going on a retreat for me, not Michelle the teacher, not Michelle whomever, but this was like Michelle the human being who needed a little break. And I was like, oh, this looks like something that would be great. You know, it is. I love the beach. I'm from Jamaica originally, so anything with water related stuff, I'm all for it. And I learned about Dr. Sandra Dalton when I went on that retreat, and her how she breaks down the areas of rest. And it was a preview into, her work. And I dove a little bit deeper, and I started to do things for myself in those areas. And I said, well, if I'm doing these things and I'm feeling benefits from it, I can't keep this to myself.
Right, right.
Right. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take folks on a journey with me as I dive deeper and learn more about how rest and renewal is looking for me. And so I started to create content and things around it, called it the Restful Teacher. And here we are 3 years later, and it's kind of become a movement, like an international movement. And so 3 years ago, I started with the Restful Teacher Challenge, where I have conversations with educators, folks in the mental health field, and we talk about the ways and the purposes and practicality of resting in the different ways so you can feel whole even while you're in institutions and spaces that may not value or even expose you to it. And so that's what the Restful Teacher is. So every summer I do the Restful Teacher Challenge with these conversations to remind us educators that we need to put ourselves first for once.
Yeah, we don't do that.
No.
Um, and and more I talk with other people. Some of the teachers that I have as friends or associates, when they finally get out of education, it's almost like their body's like, oh my gosh, what
Mhm.
happened? It was literally the cortisol that kept them going.
Oh,
Their system, their energy level was at the height. And then when it finally had a chance to start to try to rest, it didn't know what to do.
mm.
And so I went through it. My husband has gone through it because he recently resigned. A girlfriend of mine, I mean, several of us have gotten out of it, and our bodies are like, oh, what's going on?
What do you do? Yeah, you're like
Yeah,
wide awake.
what am I
Why
supposed
me?
to do? It's been at this pace for so long,
Yes.
25 years, 30 years, and keep going and keep going. And the mental stress that you go through. And it's not saying that what you do in education is for the naught and it's not being done in vain. It's just that we must impart rest in the midst of it
In the
because
midst of it.
otherwise our bodies are going to break down.
And it's not a blame or shame game.
No,
Honestly, you don't know what you don't know, and I didn't know. And a lot of times we don't know these things. Like when I learned about the different ways that our bodies need to just feel renewal and rejuvenation and rest, and that it could be sensory. Like sensory overload for me was like the greatest need that my body had, and I was like, this makes so much sense. This is why I reacted this way to this stimuli, because I was deficient in this area and I could never name it. So you don't know it until you know it.
it's the truth. It's the honest truth. No, seriously, you really don't know it. And one of the things that I picked up, because everyone has a different form of rest. And I think I talked about spiritual rest with
Hmm.
your group at that time. And my spiritual rest was literally doing my stretches and just sort of like just being in silence.
Yeah.
And that's where I get mine from. And I
Yeah.
don't mind being around noisy people, hearing a whole lot and doing a lot, but not realizing that my body thrives and thirsts for that type of rest. And I think that's huge, where you are helping educators identify their area.
Yeah. Identify their area, but also identify where those feelings, when you're drained and when you're irritated, where is that coming from? Where does that stem from? And what does your body need to restart and refresh? Like, for example, one of the things that I'm practicing now, because I know what I know now,
You never
is
know.
right, is I'm very intentional about places I go to and people I'm around,
Mhm,
because I I feed off of energy.
mhm,
And so the reason I always felt emotionally drained was, when I was in the classroom and around so many students and people every day, and when I would come home, I would literally like collapse on the sofa, was because my I was emotionally drained from picking up
mhm.
on the you can imagine,
Yes,
what our students go through.
all the
And
time.
so I'm very intentional about where I go and who I'm around, because I know how my body reacts to that. And
Mhm,
I have to prepare when I'm when I have to go, like if I have to go to a conference, or if I have to go to a meeting, and if I have to go to class and teach, and be around a lot of people, I really have to prepare before and after. Like, I need time with myself to prepare, and I need time after the event with myself to decompress.
mhm.
Truly.
Mhm. That's interesting you said that, because I do go to several conferences because it's part of CEUs and to remain abreast with what's happening
Mhm.
in the world, that the industry that I'm in, the one that I do for day. And one thing that I was very intentional about, even if my husband's with me, I book it so that I have a day to kind of get my brain
Mhm.
together first, as opposed to booking and go.
Yes, yes.
I did do a quick turnaround for one of my conferences last fall, but I was intentional about how I scheduled my flight though.
Yeah.
So I made sure that my wait time, the layover,
Mhm.
literally the wait time and layover, was intentionally long,
Okay.
so that I could just, because there's certain places in the airport, depending on where you are, that you can get some
Quiet time.
restful quiet
Yeah,
time.
yeah, you
And
can,
so many people
because
say,
you're
"It's always
not
bustle, bustle, bustle." I said, "Not everywhere. There's
yeah,
always a spot
there
where
is.
people want that piece right there." And even when there's a lot of hustle and bustle around, you look around, you'll find a section where people are reading books, or the
Yeah,
dogs are laying down, or they're just in their own zone, and you can feel the spirit of peace right there.
yeah.
And I said, and so you have to kind of like work with yourself in the midst of doing that. And another trip I did to Texas, I was very intentional. I literally had my driver take me to a local spot to
Mhm,
get a mat
mhm.
and to get my rub, because I knew I couldn't travel because it was just way too much. And I said,
Yeah,
I'm willing to let it be in that room and give it to somebody else. I got to be able to lay down and just stretch my
mhm.
body and kind of be in one.
Yeah,
So those are the things that I think a lot of educators don't realize, those little pieces.
yeah. And I'll throw this in there too, because I do the same when I go to conferences and I travel. Yes, you can find really simple ways to just rest your mind and your body and your spirit. You know, get a corner, put on some headphones, listen to your audiobooks, do some journaling, reflection. Like, that's the perfect time to zone things out, zone people out, and just sit there with the words, with the affirmations, and reflect. That's a way that you're resting emotionally
Yeah.
as well. And one of the things I do with conferences, I normally have a day after the conference, because I'm usually presenting at the conference, and like you said, the adrenaline, all of that is just high, and
Yeah.
and I need to come down, right? And
Yeah.
I will find a park or something that someplace in nature where I am with that location, and I will just go for that, for a couple hours and walk around and be in the nature, and just that will help me to reset. So I always do that. Like last year, I went to Boston and I went to like their now, some park they had that was beautiful, and that was the day after I presented in Colorado. I presented there, and I went and saw the mountains, and so find I know for me personally, what helps me get back to me
Mm-hmm.
is quiet time and time with nature. And I'm
Right.
very intentional about scheduling those things throughout my day. So I have like I live in Miami, Florida. So I have lots, and I'm from Jamaica, so I have lots of trees, y'all. Got lots of trees. Big old mango tree in the front yard. Bunch of palm trees, and I the birds love. They build nests. I mean, my whole yard is like a bird sanctuary, yo. And so I love the sound of the birds chirping in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I go outside in the mornings when I'm with my dogs. So I make that as an intentional part of my day to go outside and listen to the birds, and like stand in the sun for a little bit and stand on the grass barefoot.
Yeah.
That's a part of my routine
Yeah.
because I know that I need that connection with nature.
Mhm.
That helps me to start my day, y'all.
Yeah.
So when you can name the problem
Mm.
and then name a solution for it that is as simple as walking outside, you can start to feel, you
Mhm.
could start to feel better.
Mhm. No, it's true. It's true. And what you're talking about is grounding. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
believe in it, a lot of people don't, but grounding does a world of difference. When you take your shoes off, and that's one thing. I just had a conversation with someone about that. I said, if you notice a lot of the new sneakers and the tennis shoes and all that, they're really thick and high. Um, and you feel good and feel cute, but you're not grounding yourself. The lower you are, the better you are because you have more balance collectively, not just with your gait, but balance with your body. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what you need. Your back needs to have a certain type of balance. Your arms, the way you position yourself, all of that does everything for you. And if you're wearing things all the time with your heels, 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 and never putting your foot down, it can affect you eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people say, no, it never affect. Well, it does, believe it or not, in some shape or form, and for some people more than others, depending on his or her the lifestyle that they actually live.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other ways that you would suggest for educators to connect with themselves? Because I know we talked about the restful teacher, but that's just one of many things that you do, Michelle.
Um, I, I mean, these are things that I learned and unlearned.
I got you.
And one of the things that I had to unlearn is, a lot of times we feel upset, we feel whatever the feeling is, and we bury it. We
Mhm.
bury it. We can't feel that way. We can't feel it. We gotta be strong. We gotta be strong, and we gotta have everything together, buttoned up,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Y'all, feel the feelings. Feel the feelings. Sit in the feelings.
Mhm.
You're not gonna you're not going to be able to understand what the feeling is until you sit in it, and then how to move in front of that feeling if it's a feeling that you need to move in front of. You have to recognize the feelings, feel the feelings, because that's going to tell you what you need to move forward instead of pushing it down, suppressing it, bottling it up, and then you explode and don't know why you exploded.
Yeah.
Feel the feelings. That's the only way, at least for me sitting in my feelings and understanding why it happened, what happened, why did I react a certain way, why am I feeling this way, what do I need to do next to move in front of it. That's what helps me to be more resilient. And that's what helps me to also recover, especially if
Mhm.
it's a feeling that's like a setback or a feeling
Yeah.
of, like I can name the fear that I feel. And when I can name the fear that I feel, then I know that that was associated with that and that's tied to that. And I know that this is how I should, react to that particular situation or trigger or whatever it is. So I will say to name the feelings. That's going to help you to be more self aware. It's going to also help you to be more, um, show yourself more, give yourself more grace, uh, show yourself more self compassion and self love when you are not bottling up those feelings or suppressing those feelings. And you're also going to not even notice that you're on autopilot a lot of times. I mean, I was on autopilot for years when I was in the public school system and didn't even know it. And you become numb when you're that way. And you have to figure out a way to get out of that because you will become disconnected from yourself. And then ultimately you're going to be disconnected from your other people, your relationships. And so you have to feel the feelings for yourself and navigate those feelings because that's going to make you better at the relationship building piece too.
Yes, true. That's so true. I
Hmm.
was looking at the social media and you had something about cultivate.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, cultivate. Because I was
Okay.
like, hold a
So,
second, Michelle, you came out with something and you're vibrant. You're so vibrant with it. I'm like, hold a second, this has to be something that is hands down the best.
yeah. Okay. So I teach a lot of new teachers a couple times a week at the university and for different, different purposes. Work with new teachers who are going into the system for the first time. And lots of questions come up in the classrooms. A lot of it centers around purpose and how to balance and when you feel overwhelmed and things like that, right? Outside
Yeah,
of the textbook, outside of the
yeah.
content. And when I'm teaching a university class, we have a limitation on the time that we have in class because we have certain competencies we have to meet. Y'all know how it is with standards and things like that. And I wanted to create a space where these folks could come outside of the textbook, outside of the standards, outside of the competencies, and just be and ask the questions and feel safe and give themselves permission to uh, to just be and to reflect and just to be grounded and to breathe. And that's what that space is. It's cultivating you as you become the person that you want to be, who's going to give and serve um,
Oh,
fully others. I want you to give back to yourself, and cultivate is the space where you're giving back to yourself so that you're full, so that you can serve others fully. So
I like
yes,
that. I like
it's not teaching, it's conversation, it's reflection, it's deep reflection, it's breathing, it's thinking, it's silence, it's talking and sharing and connecting and relationship building. That's what it is. Hmm.
Oh, I love
And I do it
it.
once a
I
month.
love it. Oh, do you really? Yeah, they need to have that.
Yeah, it's a space. Honestly, it's a space that I wish I had as a new teacher, as just a teacher, not even a new teacher, but just as a teacher in general. When are we given permission to stop and pause and just be with ourselves? When are we given permission to do that?
Mm.
We're not.
Not
We're
often.
not.
Not often. No. No. No.
And
Unless,
so,
unless you have a principal who wants to do that, yeah.
exactly. Unless you have a leader who does that, exactly.
Mhm.
And so it is that space. And I do it, like I said, I do it monthly. And what I was going to say was, I found that there are people who come that are not even educators. So it's open. If you want to just be in that space, you are welcome to come. You don't have to be an educator.
Cultivate. Michelle, what
Mhm.
is one thing that you would like to give to our audience that they can walk away with?
One thing that I would like to give that they could walk away with. I would say, and this is coming from experience, you're never going to feel real joy from within unless you are connected to yourself. And sometimes that means reconnecting to yourself because we've been disconnected for so many years from being too busy. Our brains are have like a million tabs open. We don't give ourselves permission to feel. And so I say to um, do the things that's going to help your connection with yourself grow, help your compassion, your self compassion get greater, and your self love get deeper.
Mm,
That means you have to. For me, it's feeling the feelings
yeah.
and understanding the feelings. I keep going back to that.
Yeah, you got to name it though.
Name
And
it,
that's
feel
one
it
of the
to
things
name
that,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's one thing that you have stated. And I know that you have to name it. And when you can't name it, there's something out there to help you. It's called a feelings wheel, y'all. Use it. It'll help
Mhm.
you articulate it. Because once you're able to articulate what your feelings are, then you have a way for healing yourself. And it seems as though you're
Yeah.
doing a lot of that for a lot of our educators. And now it seems like with Cultivate, you're reaching even a more broad audience. And I love that, Michelle.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot on us. We have, we're navigating, especially as women, Black women, women of color in the institutions and things that we're in, we have stress that we're navigating from just our lives and our families. We have microaggressions that we deal with on the job, right? We have we have expectations that are put on us by society, by our culture, by our families, by ourselves, by our perfectionism,
Yeah.
and all kinds of
Yeah.
pressure that we got to be the strong ones, and we gotta we don't need to subscribe to that narrative, y'all. We got to be soft.
No, we do. We gotta take off that that big old SW, the superwoman. We gotta take it off our chest. It's time to take it off.
Yes.
Take it off.
Yeah.
Michelle, it's been a pleasure to have you on Cold Press Conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so elated to have had a very good friend, my accountability partner, and someone who I cherish to have within my circle, Michelle Singh. If you can get in touch with her, don't forget to connect with Michelle.com and she will be lovely to you. Trust me. She will reach out to you and treat you as though y'all are right there. Thanks again, y'all.